Good morning, Mike's Diabetes World. How are you doing? Today I want to talk about carbs and no carbs diets. Why they don't necessarily work for me, and they may work for you. But a lot of people who talk to me about it are all type 2. And we'll see, maybe it's me. Who knows? But eating, we all love to do it. So we'll be back and we'll discuss things. Talk to you later. Bye. You know, I get asked, what did you have for breakfast? Well, I tell them I had eggs. Oh, well, you can't have eggs. Okay, they're too much cholesterol. Alright, well, I have toast. Oh, no, can't have that. Well, I have cereal. That's way too much carbs. Okay. You really should have absolutely no carbs. Now, why should I have no carbs? Well, that's too much sugar. So I'm fixing my post here. And I say, oh, really? Having too much sugar. Well, there's a point of having too many carbs. I'll agree to that. But all these people who say, well, I have a no-carb diet, and my doctor has said I can't have fruit. Oh, well, I can have protein, but not red meat. And, it's like, we can't keep cutting back our meals. We need protein, carbs, in order to survive. So, you need to watch how many carbs you have, but you need to have carbs. There are good carbs, and then there are crap. And crap is carbs that, I don't know, you really shouldn't eat. White bread and sugar, simple sugars in a normal diet. When I was in the hospital and they tried to work on getting rid of my sugars, or the need for glucagon, the need for insulin, well, not the need for insulin, but to control. I'm just really dragging today. You need to wake up and they would say, and I'm talking today, a couple of nurses, oh, well, you shouldn't have all that sugar. And it was, okay, you should eat all a simple diet. And, bee pollen and I really don't know if that works. And The head nurse, who was sort of in the conversation, asked, well, if he's low, what should he have? Well, 4 medium-sized tangerine. Wasn't tangerine, but and that'll bring him out of it. And if he just ate all natural and had grains and I don't know. I think there's some of the principles, and I think nutritionalists have a place in a normal diet. But for me, what happens when I drop low? I drop low and I drop fast. And sitting there and saying, oh well, having, 4 oranges doesn't do it for me. Also, what was the other thing? Oh, the normal blood sugars, or normal treatment for low blood sugars. Take 15 units of carbs and wait 15 minutes. Doesn't work, guys. For me, to get out of a low blood sugar, it's 100 units of fast-acting carbs. That's what it's got to do. You've got to be able to do it. If you don't, well, I'll be flat on the floor. You might as well call an ambulance. Well, while I was in the hospital, I had simple sugar. And there were diabetic nurses. Well, diabetic nurse knew me there, but there were nurses who had diabetes who really freaked out. And I've told you a story of one time years ago when I was in the hospital. And I since have known her, and she knows my blood sugars and what out of control they are. But the only thing at the time that would treat my blood sugars was 710 milliliters of Coke. And I would drink this, and if I had a low, I would feel better. So the doctor said, well, if you can get them to come in, or if you can get 710. So I went to the store and I bought it, and they happened to be in a 6-pack. So I brought the 6-pack, and I was being very truthful. And lo and behold, I came in and I put them on my bed table, whatever you call that table that crosses your bed. So if you're sick in bed, you can't eat. And I drank, or I did drink them. I put them there so they could see what I had, what I didn't have. And there was a nurse across the room, and I could talk about this because I've talked about the story with her. At the time, I didn't know her, she didn't know me. But it was like a big ward type room. It was actually a medical overflow at Royal Columbian. And she came across the room and she said, "Well, you're diabetic. You can't have that." Well, I explained, I'm not going to be drinking them. They're for my lows. And of course, she was diabetic herself. And, again, she was worried about me. And even the nurses who said, well, you should be eating normal food, you should be eating back to nature foods. It was all out of a concern. It wasn't like an evil thing. But, you've got to find a sensible eating plan that works for you. And you've got to read and find out what good carbs are, and you should utilize them. Now, that doesn't mean you should be sitting down and having a whole bunch of sugary carbs. No. But like carbs from vegetable fruits are great. They're what our bodies are designed to go on. Protein's good. Now, there's doctors who say, oh, well, you shouldn't have any red meats. It's hard to get a pure natural diet. It's not cheap. Being on a limited fixed income, it's hard to get out and get all these natural foods. A, the price is skyrocketing. B, there's limitations on getting out and moving. But we have a squirrel. So, what do? Well, if you have a chance, I'm all for going for natural. But if you don't, eat sensibly. Don't overeat. Take your medication based on how much you do eat. Now, if all of you come here. A diabetic who is like me, a type 1, usually take amount of insulin through your pump, through a needle, that will compensate for how much carbs you do eat. If you're type 2, your doctors may limit your carbs. And I'm not saying I have all the answers. If I had all the answers, I probably wouldn't be a brittle diabetic. Now there's an answer out there, and I think I've mentioned this before. I don't like being pigeonholed. I don't like hearing, well, you're diabetic. I hear that enough about my treatments. You need to come out with a plan that works for you. Now, my big saying is dreams can become your reality. It can be about your self-well-being. It can become your diabetes management. You've got to come up with a plan that works for you. You know, it doesn't mean that you copy it out of the book. It means you start with what your doctor has given you, how much carbs you need, and you develop an exercise routine, a plan for you, and sorry, my hands are a little. We're going into the apartment if you haven't noticed. Oh, here we go. But make a plan for you. And when I sort of teach any of this, is get a binder, we just call them do-a-tang, and start planning. Find things that work for you. Now that doesn't mean you don't listen to the experts, but sometimes things will work for you, but keep track. Find what works for you. And you'll find your diabetes does work better. Have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.